Hello. Oh, that's too wide, isn't it? There we go. I'm David from Pixel, and I'm working on the CommandBots game. Probably need to come up with a new name for that at some point. But it's robots that you program in the factories they're being produced from, and they go out and do battle, and they follow their programming. But so far, their programming has been very simple, very linear. So they have a set of commands, and they just follow those blindly with no decision points at all in the process. And that's what I'm looking to change, basically. So, forgot to open something. But I'll just jump straight over here. So what I've got, this part right here is the routine track, and you can see it's literally just a linear track here that you can put commands in, and they'll just keep looping through those commands. But what I am making, if I had opened this sooner, is something that will be a lot less linear. More like this kind of thing. You have a start, and you might have some actions, a label, and then based on what the sensors are detecting or the internal state, it'll branch out and do different things, and then potentially go back to a label and loop around that way rather than automatically looping back to the start. So that's the basic idea. I went through some of the design last stream, which is, if I jump back over here, that's what I was working on here, this data model, where we've got nodes that pretty much represent the whole thing. And I'm going to do this one, have a single root node that represents the whole tree. And that'll basically start with just a start label connected to a go to start. And then you can fill in what's in between that. So that's the basic idea. Now, in between streams, I had a little bit of a look at what options there are for something that's already made, because I could build it from scratch, something that'll represent things like this visually. But there's probably already something out there, I thought. And I could only really find one. I didn't do a huge search, but basically this is what I found. It's called UI Graph, and this looks similar enough that I think I'd be able to represent it. And we've got messy looking things here and here that also seem to indicate that it is possible to make something a bit like what I'm talking about. Not sure about where things connect, but I thought today, why don't I give that a go and see if it's going to be a reasonable candidate. Oh, hello, Omega Killer. Did not remember to turn on my chat sound thingy, but yes, Bot Factory. Where's my magnifier? Oh, it's so old, I need the magnifier. I can't read text. But actually, it's just, I figure it's going to be easier to see. So, Mega Killer, you've seen something similar. Program the drones, they harvest crops, you code in Python. Interesting. Actually, that reminds me of a game I was making. I was using Voxel.js. And the idea was, as a sort of coding teaching thing, What have we got? Is this a good? That's the whole project. Let's see. There should be a website for it. Maybe this. Yeah, here we go. So this is basically something that can render block worlds. There's a set of modules, NPM modules that you can use to start to build things up. So I started making a game where you basically have a character, like a robot character, and it doesn't work. It's broken. And so you get the, their circuits, and they've basically got some code in there that's fragmented. You've got some of the code, and you basically have to fill in the missing pieces to get it to work. And so you're doing stuff like letting it jump when you hit the space bar and stuff like that. So you kind of get around obstacles initially by just getting it to basically work, and then you could start to expand that into broader things. Is it wise to buy that tool? Well, one thing to look at is the price. So that's right here, free. Given that it's free, it's mainly the cost in my time to see if it works. And that's probably going to be a lot less time than just coding it from scratch. That's not always the case. The other thing to look at potentially is the package contents and see, what's in there. And I've got basically a bunch of C# scripts in there and some sample scenes. And those are editor scripts, so they're going to be active in the editor. And these others aren't. And then we've got, that's interesting, that one has not been renamed. So basically it looks like there's not that much in there. So I at least can probably read that code and check that it's okay. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work for me, I can always just throw that away and write my own code. But it is good to use good libraries whenever you can. It's hard to know how good something is before you try it. So I'll do that this stream. Oh, yeah, true. 2019? I thought it was 2016. Yeah, that was the only thing about it. It's quite old. Last release date, January 26, 2016. But I couldn't see anything newer. So, I mean, once you write something, if it works, why do you need a new one? Whoever made Windows 11 seemed to think that you need to make new ones of things that work, and they made a whole bunch of things that don't work. And I don't know if that's the case for everything, but some really basic things like Notepad, it's just broken. So that was a kind of weird decision. But yeah, sort of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's possible there's something else out there that I haven't discovered. The problem is, like, when you start searching for node graphs, looks like we might have a built-in thing. Maybe that's why the library hasn't been updated. This API is experimental, but that's a 2022 build. What if we look at like 2020? Right, what version have I got? About 2022.3. That's what I have here. So I guess that's there. So this is experimental Unity editor.experimental.graphview. So this looks like it's something that's geared towards drawing graph views in the editor, not necessarily at runtime. So it's something to watch out for. Unity discussion is the one that's more recent than 2016 at least. But the thing is, like, I know I can yeah, I don't particularly feel like Windows 10 was an upgrade from 7. I think there was a reason that I updated, and it wasn't related to, I mean, from 7 to 10. And I think it was just related to specific software that I wanted to run. And yeah, I think it feels like Windows is moving towards a sort of operating system as a service model instead of just give me a platform that I can run whatever I want on and leave me alone. Let me just do what I want with that, which is my preference. Just I want my operating system to just be an operating system and not try to do a bunch of other stuff. And basically just, be stable, let me run things, and otherwise get out of the way. Now, is there anything good here? All right, yeah, it looks like there are options. But I might as well try that one. What do we got? It should show up somewhere here, I think, because I did add it. Where have I gone and put that now? There. That is the wrong thing. Yep. UI graph by broken machinery. UI graph, is that going to show up in here? Or is it too old? Got a whole bunch of random stuff in here. Oh, 22. Oh, load. There it is. So yeah, let's download that. And import it. And this is like an old style. Now, do I want any of these things? Yeah, I think I'll keep the editor things in there. Don't know if these are needed. I'll keep those scenes in for now, but I will remove them later. And don't want a PDF in there, but I'll just import all of those, and then I'll remove what I don't want later. I won't do it right now, but what I usually do with these kind of old packages that probably dump stuff into the project directory because they don't live in the package manager is basically get them and repackage them into proper packages just locally and then import those. That way I can choose what's included, not bloat out my project with stuff I don't need. And I can keep it all neat, keep my project directory just having my own my own code in there, and Text Mesh Pro, which I maybe should repackage. Okay, so I think we've now got that in here. So here's UI graph, and that's apparently a README. So I don't know what software opens those at the moment. Apparently Edge does. Okay, fine, let's try Edge. All right, so we've got a bunch of stuff about node graphs. So we just need something with a rect transform. Add a graph node component to it. Okay, I'm gonna make a few notes here. So we need anything with a rect transform. So that allows you to manage any connections to the game object. So create graph node. Create other graph node can do that. So you get a connection manager in the hierarchy. That keeps track of the connections. Adding connections. So we've got an inspector for the graph node and add new connection. So we'll try that. So it creates a new connection. Attached to one node. So other ways. So you got position. All right, weight, target. And okay, I think I can read that stuff later. That'll do for now. All right, so let's have a try here. I think I want to make a well, this is a blueprint editor, which is a canvas. I think I'm going to just duplicate that because I want something quite similar. And let's just call this routine editor graph. Or maybe routine graph editor. So that's going to have my canvas. And I've got a panel there, but let me just get rid of some things on there that we don't need. I'll just actually enable that so it shows up. So we do want the canvas. We don't want this blueprint editor script. I'll keep some of this stuff. And we will keep that toggle game object active script. Can be useful. All right, now panel. We can keep that panel, but we don't want the bound point diagram at all. And we don't. Oh, I think I will keep that empty message and the close button. And yeah, that's actually, I think, already wired up okay. This empty message is just going to say select a factory or robot, which is fine because that's what we want. So I think we're basically all good for those basics. I might add another panel just to separate the graph from these things. Call that routine graph. Oh yeah, I haven't upgraded to 11 on my own machine, and I hopefully will never need to. But on work machines, they, for whatever reason, upgraded to 11. I guess that's probably Microsoft having a either increasing the cost of or setting a end date for support. Okay, so that panel, what size have we got here? It's like that. I think I'll just have it be like a little below there. How big is this close button? 39.25. So if I go 40 from the top, then we should be good there. Okay. Now let's just try putting some images, I think, because they have a rect transform and we can make them look distinctive. So I might try for some of these action buttons initially. Let's do our block icon. Oops, went too close. So, yep, that's a rect transform. It's not quite the right size because it's in the middle of there, but no problem. Create another one. And why not a laser? Icon, shoot laser. There we go. So we've got a couple of icons. It's interesting. I went so close that it went through the canvas, I thought, but then the canvas showed up again anyway. Interesting. All right, so now we've got these two. Now let's see what this thing can do. Oh, there's my image here and my other image there. So these should have a rect transform. Yep, rect transform right there. So I can either put a graph node component on it, or I can do create other graph node. I'll try both. So we'll just add graph node. Now if I go here and I go, what am I looking at here? Create other graph node. So what's that done? It's done over here, not where I clicked. Now, can I put that node here? Got some of Poop's lasers poking through there. That's interesting. Doesn't really matter right now. So I've got this thing that says new node, and this has a canvas, has its own canvas, and so on. I think I'm going to just remove that one. But this connection manager, where did that show up? And where does it need to be? That wasn't nested underneath anything, was it? Let me just remove that for now. And so that's a graph node. This one's not a graph node. Let's just add the component. See if I can just get a few basically working. Yeah, so we do have a connection manager here, and I guess that's maybe just going to sit there being global. Not sure if it will work if I put it into here, but we'll try that later. So can we add a new connection? And well, there's a lot of vector transforms that I could connect that to. Oh. There, so can I just grab that into there? And then we have a connection to there. I think this was designed for a slightly wider inspector. No, I think it was just not coded fantastically. Okay, position. So there's north. So we should put it on the east side. And I guess that's, oh, I can see that connection. That is a very weird connection because it's kind of showing up as a really pale pink blob. Is that, this is the, that's the connection? All right, weird. Well, that's that script. We've got a line renderer. Can I put that in on here, please? Maybe like there. So that's kind of really awkward so far. I'll make these a bit bigger for now, just temporarily. Might do for size. There we go, got it. Maybe that size also. They're not exactly the same, but that's fine. Yeah, okay, so can we add new connection? Put it on the east side. Give it a weight, not sure. Color. Can we just do black to start with? And yeah, no alpha. And we'll just use this thing. Oh, that did not work. Drop you on there. We've got some tea left, and I nearly knocked it over. Problem solved. All right. I need to get this out of the way here too. Now, I don't want to be, well, now I've got this thing going up here. Let's go to transform. Okay, this is, add multiple. It's connecting to there now. I need to figure out what's going on with that line. Why it's, oh, I think I know why that line is doing what it's doing. It's probably not using the appropriate graphics rendering settings. So that could be a deal killer here if it's not using the right graphics pipeline, if it's not able to use the right graphics pipeline. So we got a line renderer. Oh, that's going to be about the material, isn't it? Let me just have a look here. Yeah, so basically we've just got, see, this is, if I was making this manually, this is basically what I would do. I'd be making line renderers that would go from, from A to B. And then if you move something around, then redraw all of the lines that connect to it, or just redraw all the lines. So here we've got color and so on, and then we've got materials. And see here in the connection, this is where I can make it attached to the west of this. There's something strange going on with the scale of it. It's kind of this massive line here. It's this resolution setting. Excuse me, that does seem to change something. Interesting. I'll grab black there as well, see if I can make just a black line. And it doesn't seem to be doing anything. And do I have some kind of material? Default line, default material, default particle. Frame debugger render target display. Interesting. Default diffuse. Interesting. That's the entire contents of a font trying to draw on the line there. But yeah, that's not really working very well, is it? Let's make a new material. We'll just create a folder for routine graph. And try and keep everything a bit organized in there. So let's create a material. Where are my materials? Don't create materials very often. And so this will be graph line material. Is there anything in that connection manager for its? Oh, a prefab. Cool. So yeah, I can basically make I think it's using that by default. Oh, I guess, or maybe that's the only option. But I could probably make my own. Okay, so here we've got a material, and here's the thing using URP, 2D. Can we have a I think something like Sprite the default is good shader to use. Let's just try that with its default settings and put that on as this material here. Does that help us? Lighting shouldn't matter. Don't need shadows. Check my positions here. So it looks like we got a line. Looks like it's kind of oriented wrong. Is that just having trouble drawing because it wants to be like out away from the thing? Actually, oh, there we go. Seems to be drawing a bit better here. Now it's behind there again. So if I just go to this line renderer, and we've got a set of points. Should be aligning with transform Z. So I think it's actually drawing okay. It's just drawing behind. So the positions we've got here are all at Z -2. Which actually, what's our Z on this thing? -2 for that. So if those were at -3, then apparently it wouldn't let me do that. Why not? Those just being, they must be being controlled by something. Yeah, well, it depends what you're trying to do, right? So if you're using a tool that's made for what you're doing, then it'll hopefully be easier than using a tool that is not made for whatever you're doing. And I don't think Unity's particularly made for drawing lines nicely. I don't think I've ever had particularly good good results with Unity line renderers. They're a real pain to work with. So, yeah, interesting. So I think this is trying to draw a line, assuming that one unit is 1 pixel. But this is a world space canvas, so 1 unit is not 1 pixel. And what is this wet? Is that like, it's definitely gone a lot straighter when I set that. That's the second one there, so we should be on the west side of that. And we should be on the east side of this one. Now we've got a line going in between. Okay, we've got all these positions, X, Y, Z positions, line width. We basically just want to be at something more like 0.1 at all times. Got this color and cap vertices. We probably want to be actually joining on. We probably don't need extra vertices on the end caps. Interesting. I turned off use world space. Turn that back on, but it's just sitting behind that panel. Panel is position 0. That's at -2. Okay. I think I had some panels sitting on top of each other, so it was just random whether which panel was rendering on top. And also, I wonder if this connection manager's set position has any bearing on anything. I suspect not. But, oh well, that's neither here nor there. Okay, we got a line between these two things. So that's a start. Let's add another one. Let's try and make something more like a graph. I think I've got some really basics going here. And just grab a new image. And let's grab turn left here. And let's add a connection. If I grab this guy here and add a new connection onto that. There we go. Kind of weird that we go from yes, those are anti-aliasing artifacts on the line. This magnifier does aliasing. But yeah, no, yeah, they're aliasing artifacts, which you probably wouldn't notice if they were at a different scale. That's another area where Unity's line renderers are not have not been fantastic. So this is counting. Which one is the? Like this, for some reason, this one here is the start node. This one here is, oh, what about on here now? What? So I've got that image there with two connections. This image here has one connection, and this image here doesn't show any connections because it's not a graph node. Doesn't matter too much if this is a bit awkward to work with, like UI wise, because it's something that I'm looking to have these built programmatically. So this one here, but what's that line across there now? So we've got this thing is what's that meant to be? It's a connection between that laser and that. And it's decided that it wants to be on the west of there instead of on the east. Okay, now what's this one's deal? Okay, so that is on the east side of both. And where we want it to be on for that one, it should be on the east, and for this one it should be on the west. And these aren't quite touching because the images have transparency in them. And then this one here, that's supposed to be connecting what to what? Laser to nothing. And it's just arbitrarily decided to draw it from that one. I guess maybe just picking the first one. I just selected north and now it's rearranged that. Super awkward to work with on UI. But since this one's connecting to nothing. I think that should be deleted. Okay, so I've seen that it can draw something, and it's able to represent connections, and I think if I adjust the weight on these, I think I need to give it a different prefab as well. Oops, position. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Oh yeah, that's like where on that edge is going. That's good. That's useful. So yeah, okay, that's how much weight is going into this direction, like the vector directly away from there. Perhaps not great for something like if I might have something curved and it needs to connect to some points that are not directly in a line, since it is just based on the rect transform. Also, is there anything I can do to get these, despite the transparency, connecting in the right place? I guess one option is to make a new thing like that, and then grab my image here and copy that component, put it in here, maybe somewhere here, paste as component as new. So now I've got my image there, and now I don't need the image on here. Now I've got something that I can just scale however I like. Make this a bit smaller, like say there. And then I can grab this and just sizeify it. What have I done? I've got my ratio of sizes wrong. Shift is what I want to keep that consistent. Put that about there. Zoom in to position it a bit more nicely. There, that's fine. Okay, so now that gives me something that I can move around and it looks like it's connected. Of course, it's not really a problem that I couldn't solve by just updating the sprites, because that would make sense to make the sprites be the size of what they should be. Is this one? Oh, interesting. I've got an extra little bit on that sprite. See, I'm not sure with the image. Can you do raycast padding so that it's like will or won't get raycast hit when something's not on, that bit of it, but what happens if I scale this? That makes the whole thing bigger. Yep, so we won't do that. All right. So that's basically that. I think time to see what I can do with the script. I'm not making the proper representation of my graph yet. All I need is something where I'll probably try and do about the same as this. Just draw 3 nodes, draw some connections between them, see if I can do that with a script. What am I doing here? So routine graph, let's create a new script to just play around with that. I'll call this routine graph manager. And I'll put that over there somewhere. And also move back out of here to here. So I guess right now I am not quite making the data model. Try graph UI package. Okay. So this thing's a minor behavior. What do we want to do? Pretty much, I think, just on start. I want to create some images or create some nodes. We'll just use image. Prefab. And 1 to 2. Connect node 1 to 3. Oh, interesting. We can have rules about what can connect to what. Am I? Maybe. Interesting. Wonder where that's coming from. It's coming from the connection editor. I wonder if that's because I deleted something, or because it's old, or something else. Create some nodes, and I'll just say positioned in some places. Okay, so I'm going to need to get rid of that node comment. Just get a few things. So I'll grab a serialized field for game object, which will be the node prefab. Grab a serialized field for let's just go vector to array for positions. So that'll be the positions of the nodes that I want to make. And I'll probably want to make drag and drop work on those to move them around. Do I need anything else? That might be enough. So let's use this guy here to make our prefab. Let's wait a moment for that to finish. So this is the actual sprite. And this is the node. so let's grab this here and make a prefab out of it. Oh, yeah, I wanted another thing on here too. Get a container to put those images in. So I'll put those things on there and then I'll write a bit of code. Right there, please. Routine graph manager. Okay, so our container is this thing here. Our node prefab is this thing here. We also have got this with that line width on it. So let's just create a prefab here. Graph line prefab and put that in the connection manager, and hopefully that will not start with any connections. I guess it probably would, wouldn't it? So can I delete? Wait, it is representing connection. It just doesn't have anything there. Let's just set that to 1 by default there. All right, so we'll put that into not that, into the connection manager. No, don't want to. Oh, what have I got untouched? So I'm not sure why it doesn't like that. Is it because it's not actually a prefab? Is it because what it wants is just an example instead? Oops, that's the wrong thing. Graph line is what I want. Okay, because I think the fact that that connection manager exists, that might be something that would be good to just have existing and leave there. Okay. So let's give that a try. So basically, for each position in positions, basically just go, don't worry about that check, just let it explode if it's not. Let me instantiate. so we've got our prefab. Parent is going to be the container. And I think we have an overload available. Position rotation. I'll just give it a identity rotation. Okay, so that position as a vector 2 doesn't have a, that's just going to implicitly get a 0 position. Is that well position? Let's just make these vector 3s. I don't think I've set them yet, so that should be fine. So okay, we're instantiating each of those at their positions. Now it has a graph node. Was there something in that PDF about how to use it? Interesting. Is this meant to be used in the code? Well, I think I can figure it out by having a look in here. So our connection manager, actually in the editor. In here, so let me select one of these. Add new connection is a button we have. Connection manager dot create connection T1. No. Connection manager is defined where. So yeah, I think we're using connection manager dot create connection. So we want some rect transforms. All right. Oops. We'll just give that length of positions as the size for that array. just capture that object. We want to get direct transform component out of there. And direct transform at the index is equal to that. And there we go. So now we've got an index that we are setting to direct transform. So there we go. Now I can do, I'm going to rename this to be much shorter. Brackets. So we'll get that first thing and the second thing. And same thing from the first thing to the third thing. And are there overloads? This is a void function. It doesn't return us our transform. So that should just be doing some very basic connections between things. Oh, let me do that, and then let me see if I can customize where these things go. All right, so I need at least 3 or this will explode. All right, so we're looking on here. We do need to give it some positions. So what are the positions of these guys? That is not what I want, that one. Why don't I put the connection manager after the graph? Because that's just going to play nicer with my brain. Here we've got -243, +114. Where was I doing that? Yeah. Let's do -200 and +100, somewhere up there. And let's do one directly across from that. So we'll do +200 and 100. And we'll do another one that's sort of below, but across a bit. We'll do it sort of in the middle, I guess. 0 on the X. And let's do like -100 Y. There we go. So we've got a few positions here. And we want this to be able to draw at runtime. Did anything happen? This looks like what was already there. It's not even clear to me that this even ran. Container, no prefab and positions. So we've got our container. Oh yeah, we definitely got some graph nodes. They're clones. There they are. Okay, so those numbers definitely were not quite right. Oh, we got some kind of scaling going on here. Negative 20450. Something definitely wonky going on here. And I think we might have... Oh, here we go. We got a 0.01 scale. So that'll do it. So basically, you want all these numbers to be multiplied by 0.01, which means divided by 100. So negative 2. 1, 2, 1, negative 1, and negative 1 becomes negative 0.01. There we are. Okay, and it looked like they were correctly drawn. Yeah, this will be them over here. So it looks like those are drawing in world space. And that could be why. And the lines are drawing too far back. Okay, so what are our positions like? So this thing is set position 0 within there, and these are at 3.99. So that means they're basically taking the position of, yeah, they're down at like 0 or so, minus the 0.01. So yeah, basically they need, at this point they're getting world space coordinates. Oh, right. Yeah, that's world space coordinates. That's probably related to which overload of instantiate I've used. Show me your overloads. Yep. So we can just give it the original. There, instantiating world space. That instantiating world space is relevant. I think. Position stays. So I think I might need to just take that container position. That's really not how you type container. Yeah, container dot position plus position. That might do the trick. Well, we got lots of connection editor issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those now. Seems like that's happening for every connection, maybe. Hello there, 1985. Oh, good year. I know people from then. A good vintage for humans, I think I could say. Not poorly drawn. Yeah, it's basically, we got aliasing artifacts on here. That's the issue. There may be a way to address that. Now, if I move these around a bit, yes, it looks like moving them does have the desired effect of those connections staying connected. So that's good. So I think that's probably enough of an experiment to tell that, like, I probably want to figure out where this is coming from, what's going on there, and stop that happening, because that's going to be super annoying. On enable for the connection editor. Target transforms. Find property target. Serialized object not creatable exception. Interesting. Yeah, well, I'll have to see whether I can use this library in practice. It's kind of nice that I can do stuff like this at in the editor, and it's handling drawing those lines, but it wouldn't really be that hard to just draw my own. So maybe this might just be a learning tool if it's too awkward to work with. But yeah, I think we're getting closer. So I need to. Well, there are a few different elements I need here. So, oh, that's another thing. These connections. Is there a way to indicate direction? Because if I'm moving, nope, not that whole thing. If I'm moving this around, I guess you can kind of see the direction from which way those lines are coming off, and that might be all that's needed. But having some kind of a thing, an arrow or something on the end of there might be useful. And I also might want to color these lines in some different ways, depending on what's going on. So, for example, when you're looking at the routine in a active robot, this could light up the enemy sensor when there's an enemy sensed. And this line here could light up to show that's where it will go if it gets to this point of the routine. And so you'd be able to tell, like when it's on this action, if that's lit up and that's lit up, you'd be able to tell that the next thing it will do is go to this action here, firing the laser. So I probably will want some control over those lines. But the fact that they're all here, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think there's some more stuff I want to try and do in the code here. Where's my one? There, this one. I'll just put a few notes here, things to try. Because I do need to finish up soon, and if I try some things, I'll probably end up going over time. And sorry, just thinking how to express this. Because of a knee injury that happened just when I wasn't doing anything particularly impressive. So we did have a human on each arm and I was spinning around, but it happened because I'd just been overdoing it for way too long. That means, I buy the big boxes of ibuprofen now and have a bunch of that. And I swallowed some of it wrong yesterday, and now my throat is still sore from that, so I've damaged something in my esophagus, obviously. And it's like just painful and bothersome. So that's a bit depressing when you can just swallow a tablet wrong and have multiple days of pain because of it. You were supposed to stop the pain, not create it. You've become what you set out to destroy. Ibuprofen sodium dihydrate, 256 milligrams. What does that mean? Two hydrogens and an oxygen. That's water. It's got water in it, apparently. I wish I saw when that showed up, so I knew which thing she'd said. It's got to be related to swallowing something wrong, right? Or is that just where my mind goes? Things to try with the connection manager. One, I need to find good old dihydrogen monoxide. Yes. I mean, too much of it will kill you, right? Yeah, definitely this. I think I have some of that in my cupboard too. That's a concern. Right, so find the connection to something. Yeah, between two things. And color it. Swallowing something wrong, pain in the esophagus. Yes, definitely. There's a few different ways that could be interpreted. For sure. So yes, I want to be able to find a connection between two, I guess, nodes and color it. So I should be able to get the line renderer out of something. I don't think it's just Australians, right? I think it's non-Americans. Because I think it's only American English that tends to drop the O on esophagus. Could be wrong. But yes, definitely. It's also like it's based on Latin, right? Like all these anatomical terms are based on Latin, so not spelling them the Latin way doesn't make that much sense to me. Like the whole reason to use Latin for them is because it's a dead language, so you're not going to get the meanings of things drifting through common usage. We did have a lot of examples of words sort of reversing meaning, flipping from meaning something to meaning the opposite. That's what flipping means. Glad I've defined that for you in case it was ambiguous. It's food pipe. Well, that's the problem. Because what does pipe mean? I mean, it means more things now than it used to. Actually, that reminds me of something. What are we looking for? True facts. If you ever want to know some true facts about nature, this is exactly the one that I'm looking for. I highly recommend True Facts. You'll learn something, and I mean, it's in the name. True Facts. I'll let you watch that. Z Frank is is judging 100% only from what I've heard him say on videos. Is a cool guy. So could be completely uncool in person, but makes amusing content. Yes. Nature is amusing. And it's good not to take it too seriously. In the wrong sort of ways, anyway. Is there anything else I actually want to do? You find the connection between two nodes and color it. I think I actually also will need interesting. So I'm going to want to have a way to like grab a connection from something, like have some kind of thing, say, attached to here that I could hover over and drag and have this line follow it, and then I drop it onto something else, and then that line connects to it. So basically that would kind of mean, I guess there are two ways to do it. I could either have an object that the connection just connects to, and then when I drop that onto one of the input positions of something, of an action or something, then it could snap onto that, and then the line gets drawn between, rather than drawing the lines sort of using start position on the main object. Or something else. Something to consider. So I think I could just have a single thing, like object with a vector transform that follows the mouse. I'll click and drag, and just make it the target of the connection. And then when you release it on something, then it'll change to have a new target. Blueprints in Unreal, hey? Let's have a look. Visual scripting. So the problem with stuff like this, like, yes, this is the kind of thing that I need, and there's like shader graph in Unity that basically does this kind of thing. Problem is, this is all stuff that runs in the editor, not something that runs at runtime in the program, like the rendering of that. And that's the main issue with that. But yes, definitely this kind of thing is a good way to represent it. And I can probably make it a little bit more stylized. But yes, essentially that's that kind of thing where there will be things that have inputs and outputs and they connect together to make a graph. So I could be wrong, by the way. I've never used Unreal Engine blueprints, so maybe they are something that can draw at runtime. I wouldn't know. But yeah, I think it's a good reference to look at things like that and shader graph and similar, how they behave, because that's going to give some clues about what people are expecting. And when you're making UIs, the more you make things work the way that people expect them to work based on how other things that they're familiar with work, the less you need to document and teach people how to use stuff, which is good. Yeah, can I actually... Does it have anything like... I am already over time a little bit, but find objects of type including assets. That's weird. Interesting. So we've got an instance on there. I'm just wondering if we have anything useful here, like getting a connection via the connection manager. Maybe not. Maybe I get it via something else, hey? Oop. Maybe in addition to these guys, we also want to have some, are they called graph nodes? Yeah. So then maybe we do the same thing here, but we'll grab graph nodes. So we'll grab that first one. And what can we do on this? Anything about connection? Don't know. I'll have to have a look at that. I might have a look at the code for things like this and see what it does. Connection manager, find connections. Okay. There we go. Should have just looked at the other code. Oh yeah, you can find a connection between two things. or you can find connections. So we'll get the connections for that. What type have we got for that one? Is it? It's a list. Whereas this one will be just a connection. Not connections, collections. Generic. There we go. So then presumably you can get its line renderer. Yeah, so we can basically set that. So that's cool. All right, I better wrap it up there because I need to go get some sleep. Recover from my harsh experience with trying to take a pain-killing medication. Maybe I should get the baby one. You know, it's all just like liquids, strawberry flavor or something. Then I wouldn't be able to scratch my delicate mucosa. So yeah, thanks for watching. It's a little more half-baked than I was hoping for after this stream, but I was kind of going to sit down and put together the representation of a routine and then start rendering it later. But then I found that thing and thought I'll have a play around with that. So yeah, I think next time I'll try to make like a bit of the stuff I need, build a little routine graph that just kind of represents some of what should be possible, and then try and get that drawn. Excuse me. Should have muted for that, shouldn't I? Yeah, try to get that drawn on the screen. Once I got that, then I can flesh it out more and hook it up into the actual routine editor, and then start getting robots doing that stuff. So that'll be cool. All right. Yes. Thanks for watching. I'm going to stop the stream before I get carried away and forget to stop the stream. Bye for now.